Welcome to the most amazing, incredible, wonderful, wild Panasonic / Micro Four Thirds vlogging rig that money, a lot of it, $5,000 can buy to get you 3 lenses and give you a cinematic style vlog. Sure. Alright, so many great reasons to go with the Panasonic system. What I would say is the darling of independent filmmakers kind of everywhere before you're stepping up to like serious cinema camera territory. But like the GH4 and the GH5 have been used for just some incredible projects, and you've decided, I want the Panasonic, I want the Micro Four Thirds, this is what I want to do, and I want to shoot cinematic style stuff. This is what I would set up for you. Panasonic GH5, not the new GH5S, which is great in low light, actually similar to cameras with much bigger sensors, but no in-body image stabilization. And so when you're vlogging and you're walking and talking or doing those handheld shots, it just is not nearly as smooth as something like the GH5, which has great in-body image stabilization. So I wouldn't use that. GH5, again, slow-mo 4K, really fast, high frame rates, all the advanced things you could kind of ever want, really flat profiles for color grading. So much good stuff in this. Powerful, and even, honestly, there's something to be said for just having lots of buttons on a camera to quickly get you at the stuff that you need, which it ends up being really, really handy. So GH5, a beast, absolutely. All right, so first lens up for me is the ultra wide 7 to 14 millimeter. This is nice and compact, it's fairly light, and it goes crazy wide. 14 millimeter equivalent on a full frame. That is ridiculous field of view. Now there is a slightly newer Leica 8 to 18 millimeter f2.8 to f4. Would be slightly better in low light, actually twice as good in darker situations. The problem with it is, as soon as you zoom in, it gets darker. Now, we are talking about cinematic style vlogging, where typically when you're trying to do that, and for me, I shoot in full manual control. So I'm in control of every setting. So when I zoom in, the picture would just get darker. Like it would get twice as dark if you zoomed in, and I find that really annoying. So I don't actually want that lens. I'm sticking with this one. That other one you could stop down to f4 and it would stay the same, but then it's a waste of time. Anyway, this, for the price and for everything, goes a little bit wider, which can be important, guys, because when you shoot in 4K on Panasonic 2, it crops it in a little bit more. So this is probably more like an 18 millimeter on a full frame when it's cropped in-ish. So anyway, love this little lens. This is going to be our main go-to of when you're walking and talking, or whenever you're addressing the camera, that people aren't just seeing your face, they get to see the whole background of the space that you're in and everything that's going on, and I think that's far more interesting. Okay? 7 to 14 millimeter. Next up is our wide-angle cinematic lens, the 15 millimeter f1.7. It's tiny, like compared to a can of Coke, or what I had in the fridge that somebody gave me was a can of beer, but it's a standard size can. It's like almost a third the size of the can, yet it's still doing a 30 millimeter equivalent, f1.7. It's letting in a ton of light. So you can, if you're in a pinch, vlog with it if something's really, really dark. And you can even throw the DMW GWC1 wide angle converter on it, and that'll get you out to about 12 millimeters or 24 millimeter equivalent. And you can vlog in low light, but for me, it's really about capturing spaces or giving people a sense of where you are in a cinematic way, where you can actually separate what you want people to focus on from the background and start blurring out that background or blurring out the foreground and showing the background, but giving you a cinematic style feel. It's got the nice Leica glass inside of it. I felt like the colors and the contrast and everything on it was just really, really sweet. It's got, you can do the aperture right here if you so choose. It's got the autofocus and the manual focus switch on it, which actually can be handy at times. So overall, this is just an amazing little lens. I have tried the 12 millimeter f1.4. I found that autofocus on it was a good chunk slower, and it's just so much bigger and heavier. I like this because even for a day, I'll just throw this on a little Panasonic body and I'm good. Like it's all I need. So then we are going all out here for our big 42.5 millimeter f1.2. That is a wide open aperture. This thing lets in a gigantic amount of light and actually gives the Micro Four Thirds a shot at really blowing out backgrounds. That when you're shooting at f1.2 on this, it doesn't matter what you're focused on, the background and the foreground are gonna be blurred out. The 85mm equivalent, which is kind of your perfect kind of portrait distance, but for video, you're not necessarily doing portraits, but this gives you a good chunk of reach to get out there and show stuff that's far away while keeping it really, really, really cinematic. And it's got a massive hunk of beautiful glass in there. Again, Leica glass. Same thing, it's got the aperture ring. You can turn the image stabilization off or on. And again, hand holding these shots with the in-body image stabilization and this image stabilization means it's going to be smooth and it's not going to be shaky footage. And then the manual focus auto off and on. These two lenses too, actually all three of them, they're built like tanks. Like they're got lots of metal in them. They're well constructed, so you can throw them in a bag or, you know, carry them around. They get bumped or scraped or scuffed, they're gonna be okay. So for me, this is like cinematic style. Now, if you don't have the budget for these three lenses and you're saying, I want a GH5, or maybe you can only afford a G85, that's fine, or a G7. What lens do I get? The 12 to 35mm f2.8 is kind of replaces a chunk of all of these. You know, it doesn't blur the background as much, but that is a great all-around lens. But ultimate 3-lens pack, this for me does it. Now, I want to throw it out to you guys and say, if you had a similar budget, it wouldn't even have to be Panasonic. It could be any kind of similar system. You got $5,000 to spend, which I mean is a lot of money, but what would you get for a body and 3 lenses? I'd just be curious. Would you go Sony? Would you go Canon? What would you pick up and put together if you were constrained to that budget? Would love to hear you guys' comments. If you guys want to know, I just need an excuse to make a video because Panasonic sent me the stuff. I'm going to be vlogging with it a little later on this week for a special project, but I wanted to make a video on a Sunday afternoon while the kids were sleeping, and I only had 2 hours, so I couldn't run around outside and do all these kinds of things. I just wanted to play with my new slider, set up some lights, and do that. So hopefully that's okay. Is that okay? Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe. Hey, I'm Justin. Thanks for watching this on a Sunday. Well, I made it on Sunday afternoon. I don't know when you're going to watch it. I'm going to leave now and then put some videos up on the screen.